So I wanted to go over the X-Men casting rumors. There's a lot of people in contention for a bunch of different roles, a lot of fan theories, none of which is confirmed except for one. So we'll see and get into it and see who's most likely, least likely. And as I was making this today, another casting came out. I believe Deadline broke the story, so we're gonna get into that one. That one is probably the most likely that's going to happen for that specific character, but first and foremost, we're a week out since Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you haven't seen it, there are a little bit of spoilers in here. If you somehow avoided the spoilers and are watching an X-Men casting rumors before Spider-Man Brand New Day, then that's on you. But let's start with that. Here is the list of people I have so far. Obviously, I'm missing one, but I added them into the slide, so we'll get into that when we get to that part. First, we have Jean. This one is a no-brainer. This one I just had to get out of the way. Of course, Sadie Sink in Spider-Man Brand New Day confirmed to be Jean Grey. Obviously, she is from Stranger Things, her biggest role. She's in a bunch of other stuff, of course, as well. But I think she did really good. I think she's probably a pretty good Jean, especially a younger Jean. Excited to see how that fleshes out later, how she kind of works in the dynamic between the other X-Men people. I'm wondering how long their contracts are, because this is very Tom Holland. He was very young. They started him in high school. The character was in high school, and now he's like early 20s. And I'm sure he'll stay on for much longer. I'm sure he's in Secret Wars and probably Spider-Man 5 and 6. We will see for sure though, but I imagine that's where they're headed. And for Sadie Sink and the rest of the X-Men team, I think 10 years is probably a safe bet. 15 if they're lucky. And I'm sure if they dream big, they want to do a 20-year thing. So we'll probably see these X-Men grow up very, very much so. So excited to see that. Emma Frost. So the only casting rumor for this one is Samara Weaving, which I actually think is really good. I mean, a lot of people think it's really good. It's not very much of a hard take. She is known for Ready or Not series, the duology. She's in other stuff too, of course. A lot of these actors are in other stuff. I'm just listing their most popular things. I haven't seen these movies. I hear they're good. They made a sequel, so the first one must be good enough. I've seen her interviews. I've seen clips from the movies and stuff, and very much Emma Frost in a lot of different ways. So I do like this casting. The only weird thing though is that she is like 10 years older than Sadie Sink. So I wonder if they're usually like around the same age. So this is really confusing to me. So I wonder if they're doing some sort of like she's an older generation. I mean, it's not that much older, but a little bit older generation of an X-Men or mutant. Maybe she's like got a professor. She's had her own teaching stuff before. They'll probably start her out as like a villain first. So we'll see how that works. I do like this casting. This is technically the only one that was officially in a trade, or at least the first one. I'm sure there'll be more castings that come out in the next few days, and then within the next week that D23 is. And then we have Rogue. The big one here is Kaylee Spaney. She rumored to have like vied for the role herself, like gone out of her way to pitch herself in the role to Jake Schreier and Marvel, and they were impressed and they liked her. This isn't like confirmed or anything, but it would make sense. It's a nice story, and she's born in Tennessee, but she's grew up in Missouri, so there's some southernness in there. She's known for Priscilla, Alien Romulus, Wake Up Dead Man. She's also in Civil War and Beef Season 2. I don't know how many people watch Civil War. I think it did decently okay, but Beef Season 2, I know, didn't do as well as Season 1. I watched Season 1 and I liked it, but Season 2 was like completely different. But I've seen some clips and she's pretty good in that too. They also had Odessia Azion her most notable role is probably Marty Supreme. I don't really know about this one. I'm glad. I would be glad if Callie got it, if Kaylee got it. For Odessa, I really think a big part of her getting the role is the hair that she has, and I'm pretty sure that's a wig, but I'm not 100%. Next, we have Cyclops. So this one is funny because I'm just gonna skip through these guys real fast. We had Cooper Hoffman from Saturday Night and The Long Walk, and then we had Drew Starkley. He's most notable for Queer, at least the most recent role he did. I think he was in Outer Banks too. These are probably the top two. I saw some Mike Face. I saw some just a bunch of other kind of guys in the general look, general age. These two I think are like 8 years apart in age or something like that. Uh, but I think it was Deadline that broke that it's actually going to be Kit Connor, or at least he's the front runner. They may have offered him the role or something. Not officially confirmed yet. I'm assuming they're just waiting till D23 next week to actually put it out. You know, actually probably bring the cast out to D23 and then like have an official announcement. But this one is the most likely. He is closer in age to Sadie Sink than the other two. I think he's actually a year younger. It's funny because they're going for this different look. I chose this picture for Cyclops because he does look a little broader here, and Kit Connor is kind of a broader guy. Um, Usually, though, Cyclops is like kind of tall and skinny. But I do like this casting actually. Like, if this is true, if this is going to be confirmed, I actually don't mind this one. Most notable from Heartstopper, but he was in that movie Warfare recently, which also had Charles Melton, which, as you can see, we'll talk to in a second. And that movie Warfare also had like other Marvel cast as well. So almost feel like they're picking people from that cast specifically. Maybe not intentionally, but it does come across that way. So this one is exciting. I still don't know how I feel about it. You know, he's not exactly the Cyclops that I would imagine, but I don't hate it. You know, I'm very open to it. I think he could do very well in this role. I'm interested to see how he'll span in the next like 10, 20 years, however much long like his contract is. I hope they do make him more of a main character. Hope they make him more of like, you know, the arc that Cyclops kind of goes through of like a Boy Scout to a revolutionary. I think that's really exciting. We'll see how that ends up. And then also his dynamic and chemistry with Sadie Sink is probably pretty important. Also, a little weird thing with that, you know, chemistry, speaking of, is Emma Frost. I don't know how they plan on doing that dynamic, if there's going to be a love triangle there, or if they're going to do it with these two and Wolverine. That would also be weird, depending on who the Wolverine cast is, because these two are young anyway. So either way, there would be the third person in the triangle. Whether it's Wolverine or Emma Frost, it's going to be an older actor, maybe like 10 years older, but still. We'll see how it goes. If they even want to do a love triangle at all, maybe they'll just do like Sadie Sink and Kit Connor, just have them together as a couple, and like that's it. You know, there's no drama outside of that. Maybe a little bit. You know, X-Men's always drama, so maybe there's some drama, but maybe not some love triangle drama. We'll see though. I do like this casting, and I'm sure they'll announce officially next week in D23, which I hope they announce like majority of these. And then next we have Beast here. I did include a picture of him as like a quote unquote human form or non-blue form here because they have Charles Melton rumored to be cast here. He is from May December and Beef, and I know he did Riverdale too for a little bit, but these are probably his most recent big roles. I do think because it's Charles Melton, you know, he's got of a, this is the rumor though that he's cast, but because of his rumor and he's got like more of a square jaw and stuff, I think they're gonna go for the route of keeping him not blue for a little while and then becoming blue down the line, because that's how Beast was, you know, in the comics originally, with the original five. So that might be weird to like get used to, that he's never gonna be blue until like 5 years in or something like that, but it would be interesting to see, and it would be Charles Melton, so it would be fine. It would look good. I just wonder if people will kind of be like, all right, let's get to the blue already, or how they'll react to that. We'll have to see, but I don't hate this casting. I do think it's kind of wasting Charles Melton. I feel like he could be a better character. Not to say that Beast is a horrible character, but like there's definitely room for Charles Melton to do something more interesting here. He's also in his later 20s, and I don't know what they plan to do with the X-Men team. They have like Gene and Scott as like these early 20 actors, and then Charles Melton and Kaylee Spaney are a little bit older. I actually think he might be 30 something. I have to double check that. Speaking of ages as well, we also have Storm, who in X-Men Evolution, they did a thing where like a lot of the X-Men were younger and she was more of like a teacher's age. Like she was much older than them, which I kind of hate. I kind of like it better, you know, if they're all the same age. I don't like forcing Storm to be like this, like, you know, teacher parental figure. I think that's a little weird. And the most like highly contended rumor cast is Jamie Lawson, but this isn't like from any leakers or any sources or anything. It's just the fact that the likelihood of her being cast. You know, the likelihood that Ryan Coogler will introduce Storm in Black Panther 3, or at least will have a, give her a big part. And Jamie Lawson and him have already like worked together a lot. So, and she looks like Storm. Like she's probably the best Storm. She was in Sinners, and she was Bella Real in the Batman. So, she's worked in comic book movies on the other side, and she worked with Ryan Coogler in Sinners. She is like late 20s though, so there is that kind of like she's a little bit older than Sadie Sink and Kit Connor, but I think they could get away with it. I think she can get away with like being a little bit younger. I want to imagine they never explicitly say Sadie Sink is, what age she is, but she is regarded as younger. It's definitely younger than Peter is in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So I wonder if there'll be, by the time X-Men movie comes out, she'll be maybe 20 something or like early 20s. Maybe there'll be a few years. Maybe she's 18 in Spider-Man, and then like a couple years later, she's like early 20s, and then Jamie Lawson's could be like mid 20s, and then that way they're not that far off in age. Um, that's definitely possible. I do think Jamie Lawson's probably the best fit for Storm. I just don't know if she's the best fit for the rest of the cast. Like, is she a good Storm for Sadie Sink's Jean? Is the question. Because they've already done Jean, so they're kind of locked in with that. We'll see. I can't imagine someone else taking this role because of how well she fits it, but I imagine that Ryan Coogler will probably play some part into casting or putting her in Black Panther 3. There's just no way that we're in the Mutant Saga now and he's doing Black Panther 3 and we just aren't not going to see Storm in that movie. Like, that's definitely bound to happen. Next one is pretty unlikely Mystique for Indy Navarrete. I don't think this is happening. She's known for Obsession, obviously, in Superman and Lois. Now, I know in a Variety interview, she did mention that she had a meeting with Jake Schreier, and when asked like what character she would love to play, she was like, "Oh, Mystique." But I think that was more of like, "Oh, this would be a really cool thing for me to play. That would be fun to play," and less of like, "That's who I'm gonna play." Because I feel like if she got the role or a role in X-Men, she would be very hush hush about it. Like, I don't think she would be as open about it. I don't think she would be, as vocal to say like, "Oh, I would love to play Mystique," and already been casted as Mystique. Maybe that's also her like maybe they're in talks and that's her like kind of putting the word out to like feel what the general public thinks. But I don't think she fits Mystique anyway, and I don't think that would be the case. That they would let her just say it. Like, I think that she had a meeting with Jake Schreier and then they just kind of like talked about stuff, and I don't think she has a part. Um, Even if she did, I don't think it's Mystique. I just think like with the Emma Frost casting, I think Mystique would also be a little bit older. I can't imagine I would do another young Mystique again. Um, and I think, yeah, I just think that this probably is not happening. There's not like any confirmed sources or anything like that saying this. I think it was really just from her saying it in an interview, which I don't think has a ton of merit because it was more of just like, "Oh, I would love to play that role," and not like, "Oh, I have the role." If that makes any sense. We also have Professor X. I don't know how reputable this one is, but Bill Skarsgård from It and Nosferatu, and then we also have Tom Pelphrey from Ozark, among other roles. He was also in Iron Fist, so there's a MCU actor there that would be double dipping. Out of these two, I feel like Tom Pelphrey is a little bit better. No hate to Bill Skarsgård, but I think he just has too much of like a he's got too much of like a distinct look, and I can't imagine that also being like the fact that he's younger too. Like he's like 30 something, like mid to early 30s, and he would be just like 10 years off from the X-Men. I just feel like that's a little weird. If anything, I feel like he would be an X-Men. but I don't know about Charles Xavier for that. He's just too young, I think. Tom Pelphrey out of these two would probably be best. I mean, I would have liked Patrick Wilson, who was also at one point rumored to be cast, but I don't think he is anymore. Um, it would have been weird to look at him bald as well, but I think Patrick Wilson probably would have been able to deliver, Charles Xavier. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable with any of these three actors in the role because I'm not like they're weird in it. Obviously, I'd have to see it first, but like for now, at face value, I just don't think any of them really fit. And then finally, last rumored casting is Mr. Sinister for Adam Driver. I didn't put a bunch of his movies here because we kind of all know him. House of Gucci, Black Klansman, Marriage Story, obviously Kylo Ren as well. I don't know if he would. I think he would more likely do Mr. Sinister if, because since it would be like a one-off villain. But he was also rumored for Magneto, which I think is really weird. I personally can't see him as Magneto. I can probably see him working with Mr. Sinister, but Magneto feels weird. It would be a good get him as Magneto, and then he play Magneto for the next like 10 years. That would be crazy. Is a big franchise something that he'd want to do? He seems the type to not really want to do a big franchise, but Kevin Feige did say that they have a lot of meetings with him, and then he just kind of declines the role. But maybe this is the one role he didn't decline, and that'd be kind of interesting. We'll see though. I imagine by next week at D23 they will have officially locked in their X-Men casting, officially announced it, probably bring the actors on stage too if they can, which will be really exciting to see. One thing I'm also surprised about is that there's no Iceman or Angel. If it seems like they're going like OG, I would imagine there would be an Iceman and Angel, especially with Jean, and they have Cyclops and Beast in the rumors. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll have to see if they just have been hiding it. Because Kit Connor kind of came out of nowhere, and then it was like officially out there on the trades. So we'll see if any of these people are even in the running at all. Because Kit Connor wasn't in it, and then now he's top of the list. He might as well have the role at this point. But it's very interesting. I'm very excited for this new era. Big fan of the X-Men. I really like them. So let me know what you guys think about all these casting rumors, and if you guys have people that you like on this list, or if you guys have people that aren't on this list that you would think are better in the roles, or even roles that haven't even been rumored yet. But yeah, see you later.